Ever notice how the harder you chase something, the more it feels like it's slipping further away? You chase a person, and suddenly, they're distant. You chase success, and it feels like a never-ending treadmill. You chase peace, and your anxiety doubles. There's something powerful here that most people overlook. The act of chasing carries a hidden message, a silent energy that says, "I don't trust life enough to let it find me." But here's the secret no one tells you openly. Life doesn't reward chasing. It responds to clarity, to calmness, to the person who moves with confidence, not desperation. It's the moment you finally sit still, not because you gave up, but because you trust your own value, that things begin to shift. Because when you're constantly pursuing, you are energetically telling the world, "I don't have this. I need to earn it, fight for it, prove myself worthy." But what if you're already worthy? What if the things you want aren't hiding because you're not good enough, but simply because you're gripping so tight that life has no room to deliver? When you stop chasing, you don't stop caring. You stop controlling. You stop needing. You stop clinging. And that's exactly when life finally feels safe enough to approach you. Think about how magnets work. They don't chase. They don't beg. They don't manipulate. They simply exist, and things naturally move toward them. But somewhere along the line, we've been convinced that our dreams, our goals, our peace, even our worth, can only be earned by constant effort, constant struggle, constant proving. So we chase people who pull away. We chase opportunities that don't match our values. We chase external validation to make us feel whole. And we wonder why we're so exhausted, why it feels like we're running on empty, why the harder we run, the less we actually gain. It's because chasing, at its core, is rooted in fear. Fear that if we stop pushing, things will slip away. Fear that we won't measure up. Fear that life will overlook us. But here's what nobody ever talks about. Life doesn't overlook you when you stop running. It notices you. Because when you're not chasing, your energy changes. Your body relaxes. Your eyes clear. You start listening instead of anxiously scripting your next move. You start speaking your truth instead of tailoring your words for approval. And suddenly, people feel safe with you. Opportunities find you because your energy is clear, confident, grounded. They sense you're not trying to take anything. You're already whole. The irony is, we think we must pursue happiness. But the truth is, happiness moves toward calm, toward the person who trusts, who breathes deeply, who allows space for life to surprise them. When you stop chasing, you don't stop growing. You simply start growing in a different direction. Not outward, chasing validation, but inward, deepening your own roots, your own strength, your own quiet wisdom. And that inward growth, that steady magnetic confidence, is what naturally draws in exactly what you've been seeking all along. Now here's the thing most people miss. When you chase something, you're silently telling yourself you're incomplete without it. You become convinced your happiness, your worth, your entire identity hinges on finally catching it. But the universe doesn't work with desperation. It responds to certainty. It responds to confidence. It responds to the calm, knowing that what's truly yours will never pass you by. Think about it. When someone enters a room radiating calm, not pushing, not seeking attention, just naturally present, everyone notices. Not because they asked for attention, but because their presence is undeniably magnetic. That person isn't rushing. They aren't anxious. They aren't wondering how they measure up. They simply are. And life rewards that energy, not instantly, but inevitably. When you step back, when you loosen your grip, you give the universe room to work. You create space for synchronicities, for surprise connections, for effortless flow. The perfect opportunities find you, not because you hunted them down, but because you aligned yourself so clearly, so calmly, that they had no choice but to flow toward you. And it's strange, isn't it? We're taught that hustle equals happiness, that effort equals achievement. But effort without alignment is wasted energy. It's fighting currents you're meant to flow with. You're not lazy for slowing down. You're not weak for taking your hands off the wheel occasionally. You're wise enough to trust something bigger than your fear-driven planning. Because ultimately, what you truly want isn't just success or love or recognition. It's peace. It's freedom. It's waking up without anxiety. without feeling like you need to earn your right to breathe deeply. And that peace isn't found by chasing. It's found by choosing presence over panic, by trusting timing over urgency, by letting go instead of gripping harder. It's found when you realize the universe never asked you to chase anything, only to show up authentically and let what belongs to you finally find you. Think about it this way. When you're always chasing, you never actually enjoy what you've already found. You're constantly looking past the moment, missing what's right in front of you, always seeking, always hungry, always feeling incomplete. But what happens when you finally pause, just for a second, when you stop needing everything to be different from how it is? In that brief moment, something powerful happens. You finally start noticing the subtle gifts around you. You start hearing your own intuition, your gut feeling, your inner voice speaking clearly, no longer drowned out by your anxious mind. You start noticing synchronicities, those little coincidences that aren't really coincidences at all, but signals you're on the right path. And suddenly, life begins to unfold without effort, not because you manipulated it, but because you stopped resisting it. See, life has a rhythm, a natural timing, a pace that you can't force no matter how hard you push. You can fight it, resist it, wrestle with it, or you can surrender into its wisdom. When you surrender, you're not becoming passive, you're becoming receptive. And receptivity isn't weakness, it's power. Because receptivity says, I trust life enough to stop demanding answers. I trust that what's meant to come will come, and I don't need to rush it. And people can sense this shift. Your energy changes. Your presence deepens. You stop being the person always needing, always chasing, always demanding something more. Instead, you become someone who others seek out. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you're grounded. Because you're comfortable in your own stillness. Because you're the quiet center in a noisy, frantic world. And that's magnetic. That's powerful. That's what makes life notice you, not your desperation, but your confidence in letting things arrive naturally. When you stop chasing, you're saying to life, I trust that what's truly meant for me is already on its way. And the funny thing is, that's exactly when it finally starts showing up. Here's something else nobody talks about. When you chase things, you're quietly reinforcing a belief. The belief that life is holding something back from you, that you have to beg or prove yourself worthy to finally earn the things you desire. But life doesn't work through earning. It works through alignment. Alignment isn't about forcing the outside world to match your desires. It's about tuning your inner world so clearly, so confidently, that the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Imagine how different your energy feels when you stop worrying about outcomes. You walk into situations differently. You speak differently. Your words carry weight, not because you've rehearsed them, but because they come from a place of genuine calm, genuine certainty. Your presence changes the dynamic of every room you enter. You're not seeking approval, so people naturally respect you more. You're not forcing connections, so people genuinely enjoy your company. Because here's the real secret. Life doesn't give you what you ask for. It gives you what you believe you deserve. And when you chase, you're unconsciously saying, I don't deserve this yet. When you let go, you're confidently saying, I already know it's mine. Suddenly, opportunities feel effortless. You're no longer analyzing every conversation, every move. Instead, you're allowing life to surprise you, to meet you, to support you. Not because you got lucky, but because you finally shifted your mindset from desperation to trust. Think about your breath for a second. You don't chase your breath. You simply allow it. You trust that the next inhale is coming, and it always does. What if you approached everything else in life with that same level of trust? What if instead of running after your dreams, you stood still and allowed them to find you? What if instead of desperately holding on, you opened your hands and let things come and go as they're meant to? That's when life stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a dance where you're guided, supported, aligned in ways you never imagined possible. Now let's be completely honest. Chasing feels normal because our culture made it normal. We've been taught that good things only come to those who fight hardest, hustle longest, and stress most. But here's the quiet truth you discover when you slow down enough to listen. Life isn't meant to be a constant battle. You were never meant to live every day holding your breath, tense shoulders, anxious heart, always 2 steps ahead of yourself. never actually here, never actually present. Think about it for a moment. Has forcing outcomes ever truly made you feel secure? Has gripping something tighter ever made it yours? Or has it just exhausted you, drained your energy, and left you feeling further away from peace? The moment you stop chasing, you stop losing yourself. You stop feeling scattered. You stop feeling disconnected. Instead, you ground back into your own presence. And that grounded presence is rare, powerful, magnetic, because people around you feel it immediately. They sense someone who doesn't need anything from them, someone who is whole, steady, real. And suddenly, relationships deepen, not because you changed, but because you stop needing to control them. Opportunities become clearer, not because you're forcing them, but because you're finally open enough to see them. The anxiety in your chest quiets, not because every answer has appeared, but because you've stopped begging the universe to prove it's on your side. This is the energy of trust. True, deep trust. Trust that the universe knows exactly what it's doing, even if you don't. Trust that what is meant for you will never miss you. Trust that you don't have to constantly prove your worthiness or chase validation, because your worthiness was never up for debate. And the beautiful irony of all of this, the moment you fully embody that trust, the things you used to chase suddenly appear, effortlessly. Not because you finally caught them, but because you became someone who naturally attracts them. You're no longer running, you're receiving. You're no longer forcing, you're flowing. And that shift alone changes everything. Now here's a powerful truth you might not have considered yet. When you stop chasing, your perception of time itself begins to shift. Think about how exhausting it is to constantly feel behind, always trying to catch up, always racing against some invisible clock that never runs out. You measure yourself against others' timelines, always worried that you're too late, too slow, or not enough. But what happens when you step out of that race? When you let go of that endless measuring and comparing? Something profound happens. You start living in your own natural timing. Your energy stops leaking into anxiety about the future. You become more focused, more intentional, more clear. You're able to recognize exactly where you are, instead of obsessing about where you should be. Suddenly, you're no longer rushing through conversations. You're actually listening. You're no longer waiting impatiently for a better moment. You're deeply experiencing the one that's happening right now. You're no longer postponing joy, peace, or happiness until you've accomplished some distant goal. You allow yourself to feel it now, even in an imperfection. And that changes your whole vibration. It changes your interactions, your opportunities, your relationship, everything. Because here's the thing most people miss. Life is responding to your energy far more than your effort. When your energy is clear, confident, and calm, life aligns with that. Opportunities find you effortlessly. Connections deepen naturally. Clarity arises organically. But when your energy is frantic, anxious, and desperate, life mirrors that back, reflecting the chaos you're carrying inside. By stepping back and releasing the chase, you're not giving up on your goals. You're simply shifting how you approach them. You're deciding that ease and flow feel better than anxiety and force. You're trusting that your path doesn't require desperation to unfold. And here's the remarkable thing. The universe loves this kind of trust, because trust creates space. Space for unexpected miracles. Space for intuition. Space for inspired action rather than forced moves. You become someone who can receive, someone who effortlessly attracts exactly what they need, precisely when they need it. All because you finally stop chasing and learn the quiet, powerful art of allowing. So, if there's one thing this entire message has whispered to you, it's this. Stop holding on so tightly. Let go of the outcome. Let go of needing it to happen right now. Let go of forcing it all to unfold by your design. Because life has its own rhythm. And when you finally step back, even just a little, you'll start to notice how the pieces begin falling into place. Without your pressure, without your tension, without your need to control. This doesn't mean doing nothing. It means learning how to receive, not just chase. It means aligning yourself with the flow instead of fighting the current. And that shift alone can change your life. So here's your moment. Let go, trust, and allow. If this resonated with you, drop the word aligned in the comments below. It's a small word, but a powerful step, a signal that you're ready to trust the timing of your life. And if you want more reminders like this, subscribe and join the journey.